Right then, Zane Martel's chest was heaving as he gasped for air in big breaths. His clothes were soaked in sweat. He lay on the floor and a few days had passed just like that. In the past few days, Zane Martel's head had been in so much pain that it felt like it would explode anytime soon. If his willpower was not stronger than ordinary people's and he did not own 8 willpower energy, his head would have exploded long ago. His headache got better on the 5th day, and he barely stood on his feet on the 8th day. He staggered. Still, his head was buzzing and he felt like he could be knocked down again.
Damn it, Paulson Colt's willpower attack is too powerful. No wonder Nelson S'mores, the talent from Topmost City, had his head exploding after enduring one attack from Paulson Colt. He's too damn powerful. Still, there is a weakness. His physique is too weak. If I punched him more just now, I could have killed him. After this, Paulson Colt will certainly gather everyone in the name of the South Sea Dragon Meridian again to drain their willpower. It won't be so easy to kill him by then.
Zane Martel calmly analyzed the situation. His analysis was accurate. During the time he was unconscious, Paulson Colt had healed his injuries with his many medicinal pills. At that moment, a large batch of people was rushing to the South Sea Dragon Meridian from all directions to get a share of the treasure. Little did they know they were stepping right inside Paulson Colt's trap.
Where is this place? I remember, I was pulled inside by the stone wall. Is this inside the stone wall?
Zane Martel looked around. It was pitch black, and he could not see his fingers. He took out a Mulven Zook and walked around using its faint light. There was almost nothing there, as if it was a cave. There was a huge rock dozens of meters above his head. Zane Martel continued to walk along the path until he reached the end of the road. There was a pond that was only 2 to 3 meters wide, but the water was extremely clean. Zane Martel sat down by the pool and rested for a while. Soon he took out the dragon bone he got from the stone wall and his eyes lit up. The dragon bone lay quietly in his arms. It was as long as an adult's arm. Like an ancient, beautiful jade, it was crystal clear and exuded a faint, cool sensation. There was a powerful Dragon Clan's energy on the dragon bone, which was many times stronger than Zane Martel's Dragon Clan's energy.
Judging from its aura, this bone does not seem to be of a real dragon. Perhaps it is the finger bone of a semi-dragon instead. Although it's a semi-dragon, it's still a great opportunity.
A semi-dragon referred to the dragons with Dragon Clan bloodlines, but not as pure as the Dragon Clan with the true dragon's pure bloodlines. Zane Martel tried to release his willpower, only to find that his head was not as painful as before. However, when his willpower touched the dragon bone, it bounced back.
What? Could it be that the willpower is ineffective on this dragon bone?
Zane Martel was shocked at that realization and tried again. This time, he released more willpower to surround the dragon bone and kept approaching it. However, there seemed to be a force field on the dragon bone. Zane Martel could feel the resistance, a barrier that wouldn't let his willpower through. What kind of mystery did this dragon bone hold? What would happen if he could unlock its secrets? The answer seemed just out of reach, yet tantalizingly close. Zane Martel's heart raced as he continued to press his willpower against the force field, knowing that whatever came next could change everything. All the willpower approaching it was bounced off without exception.
This is great. This is great.
Zane Martel was overjoyed and could not stifle a loud laughter. Before this, he was distressed that Paulson Colt's willpower attack seemed to be so peerless and invisible that he could barely fight back. He wondered how to defeat Paulson Colt if he met him at the final test ground. However, things were different now. Now that he had obtained the dragon bone, all of Paulson Colt's willpower attacks were almost ineffective to Zane Martel. That way, Zane Martel would be undefeatable.
If I had known earlier, I would have pulled out the dragon bone long ago and Paulson Colt would have died already. I've misjudged the situation. That's my bad.
Zane Martel sighed and shook his head, but he knew that regretting his decision would not change the reality. Later, Zane Martel sat cross-legged and circulated the Devouring Dragon technique, controlling his Devouring Dragon bloodline and releasing a portion of the energy of the Ghost King Dragon Ape that had been sealed previously. He planned to cultivate and break through the level. Zane Martel's willpower was damaged. If he did not have an effective medicinal pill to relieve his willpower, the best way to heal was to break through the level. Furthermore, ordinary people did not know any techniques to cultivate willpower. Thus, improving one's level was the only way to strengthen one's willpower. An overbearing power emerged from Zane Martel's devouring dragon bloodline. It was like a fierce flood beast attacking Zane Martel's entire body. Zane Martel seized the opportunity to refine the energy. The air blast flew and Zane Martel's level began to rise rapidly. The late 5th stage of the expert level, the peak of the 5th stage of the expert level, the 6th stage of the expert level. Instantly, his level broke through to the 6th stage of the expert level and stopped at the middle stage. Right when he broke through the level, his headache completely disappeared, and the sequelae left by Paulson Colt's attacks finally disappeared. 2 days later, Zane Martel slowly opened his eyes. He scrutinized the dragon bone again, carefully examining it inside and outside.
What? Are these runes?
A few lines of tiny characters were engraved on one end of the dragon bone. If Zane Martel did not fiddle with the dragon bone out of boredom, he would have never noticed the runes. At one end of the dragon bone, about a palm-sized spot, there seemed to be a pattern and a few lines of words carved by a sharp object. The words were too difficult to read. Zane Martel already felt dizzy after taking a few glances, and he felt like his head would explode soon. He quickly shifted his gaze away. He was shocked.
What formation is this? Why did it stop me from reading?
Zane Martel knew this only happened because his willpower was not strong enough. Still, it was enough for him to confirm that the words carved on it were certainly runes. The runes on the dragon bone felt like an extremely mysterious existence. It also felt like something that had long been lost. Zane Martel's heart raced as he pondered over the runes. What secrets did this dragon bone hold? What mysteries awaited him as he continued to explore? The answers seemed tantalizingly close, yet just out of reach. At the very least, Zane Martel had never seen anything like it. He was even more surprised to see no cracks on the dragon bone when he transformed into the Ghost King Dragon Ape to pull it out from such a solid and indestructible stone wall. It was enough to prove how solid the dragon bone was. Still, there were runes carved on the dragon bone. It must be carved by something extremely sharp and powerful, perhaps a divine weapon. He looked at it again and found similar runes on other hidden spots of the dragon bone. Zane Martel simply took out papers and ink. He glanced at these runes and tried his best to memorize them, after which he copied them on the paper. Each time he looked at these runes, he noticed he could only look at them for 5 seconds. If he looked at them for another second, Zane Martel would not be able to bear it. 2 days later, he finally recorded all the runes. He planned to look through the ancient books after the Dragon Envoy of Carlton's selection to find out what the runes were.
There's nothing in this cave. I can't stay here forever. I have to find a way out.
Zane Martel's determination was unwavering as he packed his things and prepared to find an exit. What mysteries awaited him beyond the cave? Would he be able to decipher the runes and uncover the secrets of the dragon bone? The answers were just out of reach, promising more challenges ahead. Zane Martel got a rope from his storage ring and tied the dragon bone on his back to prevent Paulson Colt from sneaking an attack on him with his willpower attacks. Then he clenched his fists before punching the stone wall. There were no small cracks on the stone wall. It only shook several times.
What? Nothing happened even after I punched it. That's right, I'm inside the stone wall. It must be solid from the inside too. Dragon Ape transformation.
Zane Martel pounded his chest with both hands and transformed into the Ghost King Dragon Ape. It was not tall inside. After transforming into the Ghost King Dragon Ape, Zane Martel almost reached the ceiling. He roared, and his thick arms were like divine weapons that had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times. He was invincible. With a power that could shatter the earth, he punched the stone wall. This time the sound was even louder, and the entire cave began to shake. A few rocks shook down from the stone wall and landed on Zane Martel's head. Still, the stone wall was not broken, and there was not even a trace.
Fuck. What's going on?
Given his current physical strength, even a top martial artist in the semi-martial king level would not dare to endure a blow from him. Yet such strength couldn't even crack this stone wall?
Isn't this too much? I refuse to think I can't tear it down with more punches.
Zane Martel continuously punched the wall. His small mountain-sized fists heavily smashed into the rock wall. Deafening sounds continued to echo in the space. The entire cave was shaking. Still, he couldn't make a crack on the stone wall. Half an hour later, Zane Martel gasped and was shocked. The interior of the stone wall was definitely much more solid than the outside. He was now at the 6th stage of the expert level, and he even transformed into the Ghost King Dragon Ape. Yet he still couldn't shake the wall.
What if I merge the Human Emperor's palm with the power of wind and thunder? Then I combine them with the Ghost King Dragon Ape's strength.
Zane Martel pondered for a moment. With the help of the Ghost King Dragon Ape's strong physique, he swiftly formed a finger technique. A glaring green light rose from the rough palms of the Ghost King Dragon Ape. Streaks of dazzling golden lightning emerged before merging with the hurricane around them.
Ghost King Human Emperor's palm.
The sound of wind and thunder merged together. Frightening energy shot out from his palm. A huge handprint flew and heavily smashed into the stone wall. Immediately, the interior of the cave flipped, and the world around him spun. Countless rocks fell from the top of the cave, almost burying Zane Martel alive. But even so, he did not do anything to the stone wall. Zane Martel returned to his human form and quickly left this place. Countless huge rocks fell down and soon completely buried Zane Martel's original position. Upon seeing this, Zane Martel turned a little more solemn.
No. What is this stone wall made of?
Zane Martel couldn't believe it. He couldn't even smash the stone wall with the Ghost King Human Emperor's palm.
It seems that I have to come up with another way to get out.
Suddenly, endless cries and howls rang out from all directions. Clouds of dense smoke came out of the rocks and turned into ghost soldiers. There were more than 100 ghost soldiers. Each looked like an actual entity, unlike the ghosts he had seen at the beginning. Dressed in armor and holding a bull-sized spear, the ghost soldiers began to wander around. The moment they saw Zane Martel, they rushed to him like fierce dogs pouncing on their prey.
Is it at night already?
Zane Martel did not retreat. Instead, he moved forward. He released the power of wind and thunder continuously and punched at the ghost soldiers one after another. When Zane Martel's fists hit the ghost soldiers, they exploded instantly and turned into Moon Soul Pearls one by one. He killed them all the way while also collecting the Moon Soul Pearls. In the end, he arrived at the place he first entered. Something strange happened. The ghost soldiers kept a distance from Zane Martel and dared not get closer when he arrived there.
Anyway, when I first came here, I lay here unconscious for 7 or 8 days, but no ghost soldiers came to disturb me. Is there something unique about this place?
Zane Martel ignored the ghost soldiers and began searching for clues. Unfortunately, he found nothing. Zane Martel speculated there might be some special element in the stone wall that intimidated the ghost soldiers. However, it was impossible for him to refine the element if it were true. Zane Martel had been killing the ghost soldiers in the cave for a whole night. It was not until the daytime that the ghost soldiers fled one after another. Seeing this, Zane Martel jumped into the dragon prison and began cultivating. Since even the Ghost King Dragon Ape, Human Emperor Palm, and the power of wind and thunder could not break the stone wall, he could only practice something stronger, the Dragon Emperor's Palm. The Dragon Emperor's Palm was the second move of the Azure Dragon Emperor Palm, and its power was more than several times that of the Human Emperor's Palm. There were a total of 3 moves of the Azure Dragon Emperor Palm. The first was the Human Emperor's Palm, the second was the Dragon Emperor's Palm, and the third was the Divine Emperor's Palm. Each palm attack was several or even dozens of times more powerful than the previous one. The attack power of the Azure Dragon Emperor Palm release depended entirely on the strength of the practitioner. Zane Martel's journey was far from over, and the mysteries of the cave and the power within him promised even greater challenges ahead. What would happen when he mastered the Dragon Emperor's Palm? The answers lay in the battles yet to come. Moreover, if one struck out 3 successive palm attacks, one would achieve the complete Azure Dragon Emperor Palm. It was rumored to be a groundbreaking martial arts achievement that could even change the 4 seasons and directions of the vital energy. The reason why Zane Martel stopped at the Human Emperor's Palm was because it required too much of the cultivator's physique quality. If one forced themselves to cultivate it, one would explode and die. Now, things were different when Zane Martel refined the Ghost King Dragon Ape. His physique had improved significantly and was several levels higher. It would not be an issue for him.
I refuse to think I can't break the stone wall even after I cultivated the Dragon Emperor's Palm.
Zane Martel sat cross-legged, and took out the cultivation scroll of the Azure Dragon Emperor Palm to study it. According to the scroll, the second move, Dragon Emperor's Palm, was more demanding on the cultivator's body. The most important thing was that one must possess a certain amount of Dragon Clan's power. Zane Martel had previously devoured the Azure Dragon's blood essence and possessed the Devouring Dragon bloodline. He also had the finger bone of a semi-dragon on his back now. It should be an issue for him. Soon, Zane Martel began to refine the Dragon Clan's power according to the cultivation method recorded on the scroll. He closed his eyes. His muscles, bones, and blood vessels began to emit streams of bright red aura. These auras were the Dragon Clan's power. At the same time, the semi-dragon finger bone on his back also seemed to be affected. A cluster of scarlet aura was emitted and merged into Zane Martel's body. Suddenly, Zane Martel opened his eyes. They were bloodshot. He felt the blood in his body was like a pot of boiling oil, constantly boiling and emitting a terrifying temperature. Every inch of his flesh, blood, and blood meridians in his body seemed to be activated. They also tensed unconsciously. His hands emitted a red light as the dense Dragon Clan's power emanated from them.
Dragon Emperor Palm.